Hey y'all, it's Megan, and in this video, I'm doing a tutorial on the Palmer long sleeve top with the picot neckline. If you want to see the tank top done with the neckband or the shorts tutorial, I will link them down in the description. After you cut your pieces, the first step for the long sleeve is going to be to put the front and back right sides together and pin them along the shoulders. Then you're going to stitch the shoulder seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you can press that seam toward the back. Then we are going to add our sleeve. So you're going to lay your bodice out flat and you're going to match the center notch to the shoulder seam. If you're doing the adult version, then you will have notches to match on the front of the bodice and the front sleeve, and same as the back bodice with the back sleeve. The youth is cut on the fold, so there's no front or back, but you will pin them together at the armhole, slightly stretching the sleeve to ease into place. Once you have it pinned, then you are going to stitch the sleeve to the top with a 1/2 inch seam allowance, and you're going to repeat those steps with the other sleeve piece. Now, if you're doing a youth size, especially the smaller size, I like to hem my sleeves and the bottom of the top in the round. But if you're doing a really small size, it may be difficult and you might want to go ahead and hem the sleeve now while it's flat. Once you have both sleeves on, then you are going to put the front and back right sides together and pin it along all the way from the edge of the sleeve down to the bottom hem of the bodice. And you are going to stitch those side seams with a 1/2 inch seam allowance on each side. Next, it's time to add our picot elastic on the neckline. So you're going to overlap the picot edges by about 1/2 inch, and then you're going to use a zigzag stitch to stitch those together. Once you have that stitch, you're going to go ahead and quarter your elastic, and you're also going to quarter your neckline. Then with right sides together, you're going to pin those quarter points in place. And the elastic should just barely be stretching along the neckline. All elastics have different elasticity, so if you're having to really stretch yours to fit, I would go ahead and cut a new piece a little bit longer. Once you have it all pinned, then you are going to stitch the picot to the neckline with a 1/4 inch seam allowance. If you're using your serger like me, I like to turn off the knife so I make sure not to cut the elastic. Once you have that picot stitched to the neckline, then you are going to flip that seam toward the wrong side and you are going to top stitch the elastic in place. You can use a cover stitch or you can also use your sewing machine like I am. Just make sure you're using a stretch stitch if you're using your sewing machine. Then once you have it stitched, you are going to want to give it a press with your iron. Make sure to use a pressing cloth so you don't accidentally melt the elastic. Then we are going to do a lettuce hem on the sleeve edge and the bottom hemline. If you need an in-depth tutorial on doing that with your serger or your sewing machine, I'm going to link those down in the description. Once you have the lettuce hem done on your sleeves and the hemline, if you want to, you can add a ribbon rosette or bow to the center front neckline. I love doing this. I think it's so cute, and I just do that with a little hand stitch and needle. And then your top or crop is complete. Again, if you'd like to see the other tutorials on the other options, then I will link them down below. As always, if you make a Palmer PJ set, I would love to see them posted in our Facebook group or tag us on Instagram at Made for Mermaids. Hashtag made for mermaids patterns, hashtag Palmer pattern.